The Sorcerers. A novella by Amber Wallace. Chapter 1. Silva felt it before she saw it. That same, familiar sensation settled deep in her stomach, a dull ache that never truly left. She tightened her grip on her mare's reins, trying to pinpoint the source of the disturbance. Closing her eyes, she let herself feel the energy of the world around her. There. She turned her steed in that direction. The mare snorted in protest, sensing it too. "Easy there, girl," Silva murmured, placing a calming hand on the horse's large neck. The energy she sent through her touch soothed the animal, and it moved forward, though still wary. Silva kept her sharp green eyes trained on the trees. "I know you're here somewhere." A sudden pain lanced through her side, sharp and searing. She gasped, doubling over slightly. Just as quickly as it had come, the pain vanished. The sensation in her stomach faded, the connection lost. She cursed under her breath and straightened, frustration bubbling inside her. "And what did you hope to accomplish by this?" The smooth voice came from behind her, but she didn't need to turn to know who it was. She ignored him. Perched behind the saddle, a black cat sat, his whiskers twitching in annoyance. His tail flicked lazily, but his golden eyes gleamed with something sharper. "And what would you have done if you actually found him?" the cat asked, licking his paw with exaggerated disinterest. "Something, I suppose," Silva answered vaguely. The cat snorted, or at least made a sound that resembled one. Silva frowned. "I don't owe you answers," she added. Barlo didn't argue. Clicking her tongue, she urged her caramel-colored horse forward. She could still feel the lingering pull, but the exact location eluded her. If only she could. "Isn't the cottage that way?" Barlo flicked his tail toward the opposite direction. She ignored him again. "You won't find him." "I don't expect to," Silva finally replied. "He'll find me." Barlo flicked his tail, unimpressed. They rode in silence for several minutes, finding nothing, until suddenly, a ripple of energy shot down Barlo's spine. His fur bristled. "Silva," he warned. She nodded. "I feel it too." This time, the sensation in her stomach was different. It twisted with nausea as the stench of death filled her nostrils. "I'd suggest we turn back, but knowing you, we won't," Barlo muttered. Silva ignored him, pressing forward. The mare snorted uneasily, hooves shifting against the dirt. But she refused to move any farther. She didn't need her horse to go on, she could already see it. The bodies. Brutally torn apart. Flesh shredded, chests ripped open, faces slashed beyond recognition. Their blackened skin reeked of decay. Flies swarmed above them, while ravens and coyotes lurked at the edges, waiting for their feast. Silva had seen many massacres before, but never like this. She pulled a small velvet cloth from her dress pocket, holding it to her nose as she moved among the dead. Each body bore the same grotesque injuries: open chests, disfigured faces. Whatever had done this had not only killed but mutilated. Then, among the carnage, she spotted something. A shield. Its coat of arms was faded, stained in blood. Two wolves stood on their hind legs, snarling at each other. The royal army. Silva turned, scanning the other bodies, and saw the same emblem repeated on their armor. "What's the royal army doing here?" Barlo voiced her thoughts, watching her intently from the saddle. She scowled. She hated when he did that. Instead of answering, she moved deeper into the bodies, until she saw him. Unlike the others, this man was untouched. Young. Handsome, with an almost unnatural perfection to his features. Chestnut hair framed his still face. His clothing stood out, no chain mail, no armor. Just a dark blue velvet shirt and fitted leather pants. Not a soldier. Perhaps a royal? Interesting. She knelt beside him, pressing a hand to his shoulder. Beneath her fingers, she felt a faint pulse of life force, weak, but still there. Thinking quickly, she stood and led the mare over. "What are you doing?" Barlo asked, watching her struggle to lift the unconscious man onto the horse's back. He narrowed his golden eyes. "What are you hoping to gain by saving him?" Silva didn't answer. With effort, she hoisted the man's upper body, draping his arms and head over the saddle. With a final grunt, she pushed the rest of him up. Grabbing the reins, she began to lead the horse away from the carnage. "Well?" Barlo pressed. "He's the only one they didn't touch," Silva said simply. "He may have seen something we're missing." Barlo growled low in his throat. Silva ignored him. Her mind was already set. If this man had seen something, she would find out what it was.